Howdy. This will be a video on a trigger comparison between all of the guns that I have. And the one that I will start with is my primary carry, Sig P320 X Compact. And just to show, chamber is clear. And this is a fully cocked striker fired handgun. And that would be the striker there. And if I depress the safety, I can pull up on it. I can also push down on it. Oops. Okay. So, this is what I would consider a double stage trigger because of the way that it behaves. It is a very squishy kind of trigger. It's not very well defined. I have modified it slightly. It has an agency arms trigger with a trigger blade safety. And I have changed out the trigger reset spring. Other than that, the springs are not modified. So, I can't pull the trigger unless I depress the trigger blade. When I do, there's the first I wouldn't call it firm, but it is defined. There's resistance at the first wall, and as you slowly pull past it, it's essentially creeping, it will go off. And the reset is where that first wall is. So that's not bad, actually, after the upgrade. It felt worse as the stock gun. Okay. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me do a quick trigger gauge test. £4 pounds, 14 ounces. I have to do it slightly differently because of that trigger blade safety. 4 pounds, 14 ounces. £4 pounds, 13 ounces. That's basically the sweet spot for a carry gun. On the other side of the spectrum, I have a Sig 1911 hammer fired, single action chamber is clear. This is also a double stage trigger. The reason I say that is because there's a bit of take up. You can see me where I hit that wall, that first wall, and then it's a very light pull. I want to say that's about 3 pounds. And the reset is right at the wall. Very short amount of travel. Yeah, that's about 3 pounds worth. It's very easy. And trigger gauge says, yeah, 3 pounds, 7 ounces. £3 pounds, 2 ounces. £3 pounds, 14 ounces. So about 3, more than 3, but less than 4. This is my Arex Delta Gen 2 tactical model. This is a striker-fired handgun. half cocked, so pulling the trigger will cock the striker. Let me see here. Whoops. There we go. You can see the sear there. You can pull on it, and it's essentially a pinball plunger. When I let go, it releases. Chamber is clear. And this one, it also has a trigger blade safety. There's a bit of resistance. There's some creep. It's a little bit scratchy, a little bit gritty. And then you hit a very defined wall. And it does not give. It does not have any creep to it. Until it goes. And that's closer to 5 pounds. 5 pounds, 5.5 pounds. So take out the creep, hit the wall, pull past the wall, just slight bit of creep, just a little bit, and then it goes. Very clicky too. I like that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to depress the trigger blade safety. There we go. Shit. 4 pounds, 13 ounces. Sorry to show the result to you. Hold on. 4 pounds, 15 ounces. £5 pounds, 5 ounces. I'll move on that one. I have 2 flavors of Smith & Wesson Shield Easy, competition and regular. Chamber is clear. On this one, there's take up, hits a defined wall. Little bit of creep past the wall, and then it goes. Now when I say this is 4 pounds, maybe 4.5. This is fairly light, fairly crisp. This is internally hammer fired. There's the cavity, and there's the hammer. Some people think this is a striker gun, and it's not. Can't get it on unless you let off the grip safety. Hold the grip safety, wall, pull, little bit of creep, then it goes. Trigger gauge says 4 pounds, 7 ounces. £4 pounds, 9 ounces. Hold on. Do that again. 4 pounds, 4 ounces. Very light, very good. I have this as a secondary carry backup. The chamber is clear. And then For some reason I can't get this one off. There we go. As you can see, essentially the same thing. On this one, you can definitely notice a difference between the regular and competition. There is take up. You hit a very defined wall. There is no creep. Well, not no creep, but like 5%. Very minimal. Defined wall. Sits there, pulling. Little bit of creep. Moves just a millimeter or two. Then it goes. I actually want to say this is more resistant. This may actually have a higher poundage to it. This is 4.5, maybe 5. But let's see. Nice flat face trigger. Yeah, 5 pounds, 6 ounces. That one was higher. 5 pounds, 13 ounces. Try near the bottom. 4 pounds, 9 ounces. One more for good measure. 5 pounds, 7 ounces. There's some variance there, but essentially it's hovering around the 4.5, 5 pound mark. I have 2 of my 22 fun pistols. I have a Sig P322 and a Taurus TX22 competition. Chamber is clear. Now, funnily enough, this is a striker-fired handgun, but this is not the trigger per se. This is actually like an enlarged blade safety. This trigger is the safety, because this has to be depressed for the gun to fire. There's a lot of take up. It's a little bit grainy and scratchy. Basically plastic rubbing on plastic. But I reach a defined wall, and it just goes. There's very little resistance there. Resets nice and crisp. It's right where the wall is. I want to say this is a 3 pound, maybe 2.5 pound trigger. It's very light. $4 pounds. £4 pounds, 9 ounces. That one was probably me. 4 pounds, 1 ounce. It's just a little bit more, but it feels like it's less. And it might be because some of that poundage comes from that initial take up. It's like a pound in of itself. And then once you get to the wall, it's like 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds. So this is a great double stage trigger. I like that. Makes sense because it's a competition model. Chamber is clear. This is different. This is... I can't take the slide off because of what's attached to the barrel, but this is an internally hammer-fired gun. And just to test that for you, still empty. If I pull the trigger and then cock it, it feels the exact same pulling the slide back, regardless of whether or not I pulled the trigger. So it's partially cocking the striker, it's not fully cocked. This, however, notice how it's so smooth. There's a little bit of hitch right here, and then it pulls. If I pull the trigger first, there's significant resistance, and that's because I'm cocking the hammer with that pull. It's a single action. But on the trigger pull, there's some resistance, a lot of take up. Then there's this first... That's the wall. It's a very subtle wall. It feels more like a bump, like a small hill. So That's the first wall. Take up past it. Second wall, more defined. And then it goes shortly after that. And the reset is all the way back at that first wall. And that's weird. So, first wall, some resistance. Second wall, I'll show it better for you. First wall, take up. Second wall, more defined, and it goes. This is a little bit heavier. I would say this is 4.5 pounds in total, but not quite 5. It's not bad, it's just different. And what does the trigger gauge say? 3 pounds, 9 ounces. 3 pounds, 13 ounces. Three pounds, 13 ounces. Consistent. Okay. And then I have 2 fun revolvers. This one is a Diamondback Sidekick, 22 long rifle, and 22 Magnum. This is a Heritage Rough Rider, 22 long rifle, 22 Magnum. This one is single action only. This is single action or double action. Let's see. On this one, because it's a single action army, I have to remove the cylinder. But clear cylinder, nothing in it. Okay. On this one, and I don't mind too much if I dry fire this. I'm not that bothered. But it does have a transfer bar as a manual safety. It's the switch is right there. This is a single stage trigger, very light, incredibly light, practically a hair trigger. And it went. I did not even pull that hard. 2 pounds, if that. This is what a lot of competition triggers will feel like. And if we test it, 3 pounds, 2 ounces, just barely. £3, 1 ounce. £2, 7 ounces. £2, 6 ounces. On this one, I'm not terribly fond of the double action on this, and this is why. Let's see. So as I pull, there's at first a very defined wall, and this sucks because you have to pull past that. This is a double stage trigger, but not in a good way. Normally double stage triggers will give you added accuracy because you can prep it in advance. You can get to that wall, and you can sit on the wall until you're ready to fire. This does not let you do that because the wall is so sudden. Wall, gotta pull past it, and it's rough. It's like 6 pounds minimum, maybe more. Pull past it, creep, just about cocked. This is basically to the point where the single action will reach. Little bit more, then it goes. If I do it more rapidly, oh, that's right. Granted, I knew this was clear already, my bad, but clear chamber. And just to double check. Yeah, all the chambers are clear. I always keep my guns unloaded unless it's for carry. Don't like that double action pull. Really sucks. That's like the second defined wall. This is where it wants to rest after you've gotten past the first wall. And then it creeps a little bit more. And if we attempt to test it, it will actually overload the trigger gauge. It does not like it. It does not like this trigger. This is, I will admit, this is difficult to test. Overloaded. Overloaded. So that's essentially an exercise in futility. However, if we cock it first, it's all the way at the back, very light, practically a hair trigger. It wants to go off. I imagine this will be closer to 2 pounds. 2 pounds, 12 ounces. £2 pounds, 4 ounces. £2 1 ounce. Very light. Okay. Next is my Henry. It's like an H001 wide loop, but it's a 22 long rifle, lever action. Chamber is clear, and this is single action. So hammer fired. Very light too. Obviously that doesn't do anything. 2 pounds, maybe 2.5. Very light. Let's try that. £3 pound, 2 ounce. £2 pound, 14 ounce. £3 pound, 1 ounce. This is my Hammerli, as they call it, Tac R1 22C. But essentially this is an AR-15 clone, chambered in 22 long rifle. Some of it's mil-spec, some of it's not. Most of it is not mil-spec. That's alright. Fortunately, there's no bolt hold opened, but as you can see, there's nothing in there. The other thing that sucks is this forward assist doesn't do anything. Neither does the bolt hold open. That's just for shits and giggles. So I want to get a different one that's actually mil-spec. On this one, I changed out the trigger. So initially, it comes with like a 6-8 pound trigger, something like that. It wasn't bad. It was a single stage trigger. Just a little bit heavy. I swapped this out for a trigger on HK parts, and it's closer to 5 pounds. So it's on fire, and I'll let you see this. Still fairly heavy, but not awful. I would probably say that's 5 pounds, closer to 6. It was actually pretty good. And like I said, I don't mind dry firing this. I'm not that worried. So let's test this. 4 pound, 10 ounce. £4 pound, 14 ounce. And this one I will try and press on. I like to vary the two because sometimes it will give a different reading. 5 pound, 10 ounce. So somewhere between, yeah, about 4.5, maybe 5.5 pounds. This is my What Would Stoner Do rifle. This is an AR-15. I have, delightfully, 3 different ways to hold the bolt open. But chamber is clear. And this has KE Arms' DMR trigger. I don't think it's an SLT, but it's one of their better triggers. It's a good trigger. This is, it's essentially a single stage. Wait, hold on. Forgot to take it off safe. It's, my brain wants to say it's a double stage, but it's not. There's a little bit of creep, and you can see that. There's a tiny bit of movement. It's about 1 millimeter. Then you hit the wall. Then you pull through it. Let's try it again. Pull through it. There's a little bit more give, and then it goes. And it's not, they say it's 3.5 pounds, which is probably what I would say this is. It's bordering on 4 pounds. £4 4 ounce. £4 14 ounce. £3 14 ounce. So between about 4 pounds, not quite 5, 4.5 pounds. Okay. And then, lastly, this video is getting long enough as it is, Keltec Sub 2000. Chamber is clear. This is definitively what I would call a single stage trigger. It doesn't even have a wall to it. This is a competition trigger. This is not the stock configuration, if it's not obvious. It is modified with parts from M-Carbo, both inside and out. And that is highlighted by the trigger. I guess you could call this little bit of resistance a wall. It doesn't feel like it. It is virtually minimal. And it just goes. This is going to be a little bit harder to test because this charging handle. So, let's see here. First, very subtle wall, but there is some resistance there. You sit on it. You pull past it. It's nice and clean. It's consistent. It's linear. Pull through it and it just goes. Now, no second wall. No indication that it's going to go. It just goes. And the reset on this. It's all the way at the front. It's where that first bit of resistance is. You would think it'd be further back, but I think it's because of the transfer bar. All the way right there at that first wall. And then you just pull through it. £3 5 ounce. £3. £2 15 ounce. Very, very light. Some things to highlight for people that don't know them already. The difference between a single stage and a double stage trigger is essentially in the name. A single stage either does not have a wall or has a very defined wall, and there is no secondary wall. The pull through the wall is very consistent, like the Sub 2000. That's what I would consider like a model single stage trigger, and those are very good for competition, for when you want to shoot fast. For duty, for accuracy, you want a double stage trigger, and it's where you have that initial take up and it hits a wall, or you have take up, pull past the wall, second wall, and that allows you to stage on one of the walls and then pull through it when you're ready. Hammer fired guns typically, although not always, have better triggers than striker fired guns. Usually they are smoother. I would say my P320 had a really poor trigger right out of the box. The Arex Delta, it has a lot better trigger, even though it's also a striker fired gun. I believe that is it. I can't think of anything else. But if you have questions, feel free to ask.